the site of the first mast of the Philippines, Limasawa, also known as Sarangani Island. Mazawa is actually the original name of this tadpole-shaped island lying at a latitude of 9 and 2/3 degrees towards the Arctic Pole north and 160 degrees longitude from the demarcation line. As inscribed in Antonio Pigafetta's Primo Viajes in Torno al Mundo, which bears account of Ferdinand Magellan's voyage around the world. The native did not understand the Spaniards during their interaction and mistakenly thought they were asking, "How many wives does Raha have?" Which they responded, "Limay asawa," or 5 wives. From then on, the island was called Limasawa. We claim that this island is where the site of the first mast during Magellan's expedition.
One of the sources that we support is Magellan's very own chronicle. Antonio Pigafetta, born in Vicenza, the Republic of Venice, also known as Italy, around 1480, died at 1531. 51 years old, an Italian scholar, he joined the crew of the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan on their first voyage around the world. His intention upon joining the crew is to document their expedition. He is also one of the 18 men out of the 240 who returned in 1522 along with Juan Sebastian Elcano. The second source that we support is the claim of Francisco Albo. He joined Magellan expedition as contramaestre, or pilot, in Magellan flagship Trinidad. He was also one of the 18 survivors who returned with Juan Sebastian Elcano on the Victoria ship. He began keeping his own diary, a logbook on the voyage out while they are sailing.
Primo Viaggio in Torno al Mundo translates to First Journey Around the World. The book written by Antonio Pigafetta around 1524 to 1525 in Italy, shortly after he returned from Ferdinand Magellan's expedition to circumnavigate the globe, thousands of kilometers away from the location he had documented. Pigafetta's intention was to document their journey, thus his account provides a detailed description of the voyage, including geographical discoveries, encounter with indigenous people, and other significant events. Antonio Albo's logbook, written during their circumnavigation of the Earth in the year of 1519 to 1522. As the chief pilot of Ferdinand Magellan's expedition, he had the responsibility of navigating the fleet of ships across unknown waters. The logbook served as crucial navigational aid, recording important details such as courses, distance traveled, and landmarks sighted.
The evidence of Albo's logbook. On the 16th of March 1521, as they sailed in westerly course from Ladrones, they saw the land towards the northwest, but owing to many shallow places, they did not approach it. They found later that its name was Yanagan. They went instead that same day southwards to another small island named Suluan, and there they anchored. There they saw some canoes, but these fled as the Spaniards approached. This island was at 9 and 2/3 degree north latitude. Departing from those two islands, they sailed westward to an uninhabited island of Gada, where they took in supplies of food and water. The sea around that island was free from shallows. Albo does not give the latitude of this island, but from Pigafetta's testimony. This seems to be Aquada or Humunhon at 10 degrees north latitude. From that island, they sailed westward toward a large island named Silani, which was inhabited and was known to have gold. Silani, or as Pigafetta calls it, Ceylon, was the island of Leyte.
Sailing southwards along the coast of that large island of Ceylani, they turned southwest to a small island called Masaba. The island is also at a latitude of 9 and 2/3 degrees north. The people of that island of Masaba were very welcoming. There, the Spaniards planted a cross upon a mountain top, and from there they were shown 3 islands to the west and southwest, where they were told there was much gold. From Masaba, they sailed northwards towards Ceylani. They followed the coast of Ceylani in a northwesterly direction, ascending up to 10 degrees of latitude, where they saw 3 small islands. From there, they sailed westwards, and there they saw 3 islets, where they dropped anchor for the night. In the morning, they sailed southwest down of a latitude of 10 and 1/3 degree. There, they entered a channel between two islands, one of which was called Matan and the other Subu.
They sailed down that channel and then turned westward and anchored at the town, La Villa of Subu, where they stayed many days and obtained provisions and entered into peace pact with the local king. The king was Raha Humabon. The large island of Silani, which they coasted, is the island of Leyte. Coasting southwards along the eastern coast of the island, then turning southwest, they came upon a small island named Mazawa, which lies at a latitude of 9 and 2/3 degrees north. That fits the location of the small island of Limasawa, south of Leyte. The island's southern tip is at 9 degrees 54 north. It is to be noted that Albo does not mention the first mass, but only the planting of the cross upon a mountain top from which could be seen 3 islands to the west and southwest. This also fits the southern end of Limasawa.
The evidence from Pigafetta. Saturday, March 16, 1521. Magellan's expedition sighted a highland named Zamal, which was some 300 leagues westward of the Ladrones, now the Marianas Island. Sunday, March 17. After sighting Zamal Island, they landed on another island which was inhabited, in which lay to the right of the above-mentioned island of Zamal. The name of this island was Humunu, which is known as Humunhun. The island was located at 10 degrees north latitude. Magellan's expedition stayed 8 days at Humunhun, from Sunday, March 17 to Monday of the following week, March 25. Monday, March 25. In the afternoon, the expedition weighed anchor and left the island of Humunhun. The route taken by the expedition after leaving Humunhun was towards the west-southwest through the island of Sinalo, which in Italian manuscript in Pigafetta's map calls Ceylon, and Albo calls Silani, named the island of Leyte. Thus, it is easy to see what Pigafetta meant by sailing towards the west-southwest. Past those islands, they left Humunhun sailing towards westwards Leyte, then followed the Leyte coast southward, then turning westward to Mazawa.
Thursday, 28 March. In the morning of Holy Thursday, they anchored off on an island where the previous night they had seen in a light or a bonfire. That island lies in the latitude of 9 and 2/3 north and in longitude of 162 degrees from the line of demarcation. It is 25 leagues from the aqueduct and is called Mazawa. They remained 7 days on Mazawa Island. Thursday, April 4, they left Mazawa bound for Cebu. They were guided by the king of Mazawa who sailed in his own boat. They sailed westward to the 3 islands of the Camotes group, namely Poro, Pasihan, and Ponson. Sunday, April 7, at noon on Sunday, the 7th of April, they entered the harbor of Zubu or Cebu. It had taken them 3 days to negotiate the journey from Mazawa northwards to Camotes Island and then southwards to Cebu. That is the route of Magellan's expedition as described by Pigafetta. It coincides substantially on most details with the route as described in Alba's log. In that route, the southernmost point reached before getting to Cebu was Mazawa, situated at the 9 and 2/3 degrees north latitude.
Next evidence, the two kings. There is a corroborating evidence from presence of 2 native rulers referred as kings or raha. During Magellan visits to Mazawa, one of them was ruler of Mazawa, who later guided Magellan's expedition to Cebu. Other was a relative, specifically the king of or raha of Butuan. Pigafetta described this individual as the most handsome man he had encountered in the region, noting that he visited Mazawa despite this territory being in another island known as Butuan or Calagatan. When these rulers wanted to meet, they would both go hunting on the island where the expedition was stationed, which was Mazawa, where they stayed for 7 days. Therefore, it is clear that Mazawa could not have been Butuan.
Why is there no river mentioned? If Mazawa were Butuan or in vicinity of Butuan, there is a curious omission in Pigafetta's account which could be difficult to explain. Butuan is a riverine settlement. It is situated on the Agusan River. The beach called Masao is in the delta of that river. If the Magellan expedition were at the delta and if the mass were celebrated there, why there is no mention of the river? Later on, after Magellan's death and after Cebu's debacle, the survivor of his expedition went to Mindanao and it seems actually went to Butuan. Pigafetta described quite vividly a trip upriver to see the Queen, but that was after Magellan's death. 40 years later, members of Legazpi's expedition visited Butuan, and the river anchored forms a very important part of their account. The fact that there is no mention of the river is a significant fact in Pigafetta's account of their 7-day stay in Mazawa. We must therefore take him literally. Masao was an island surrounded by the sea, not the river delta.
Summary of the evidence of Albo and Pigafetta. Taking the evidence of Albo's logbook together with that from Pigafetta's account, we may take the following points. Number 1. Magellan's expedition entered Philippine waters south of the island of Samar and dropped anchor at Homonhon, where they stayed a week. Then they sailed westward towards Leyte and then southwards parallel to the eastern coast of that island and that of the adjoining island of Panawan. Rounding the southern tip of the latter, they anchored off the eastern shore of a small island called Mazawa. There they stayed a week, during which on Easter Sunday they celebrated Mass and planted the cross on the summit of the highest hill. Number 2. The island of Mazawa lies at the latitude of 9 2/3 degrees north. Its position south of Leyte and its latitude corresponds to the position in latitude of the island of Limasawa, whose southern tip lies at 9 degrees and 54 minutes north. Number 3. The measurement of distance between Homonhon and Limasawa, between Limasawa and Cebu, as computed by the pro-Limasawa group, matches or approximates the delineations made by Pigafetta of the distance between Mazawa and Cebu. Number 4. At no point in that itinerary did the Magellan expedition go to the Butuan or any point on the Mindanao coast. The survivors of the expedition did go to the Mindanao later, but that was after Magellan's death.
The Legazpi expedition. The documents from the Legazpi expedition in 1565 provide confirmatory evidence regarding to the location of Mazawa, a site of historical significance. Legazpi and his crew were keen to visit Mazawa, and they inquired about it from natives Caballayan village on Leyte Island. Guided by these locals, the expedition reached Mazawa, but encountered hostility from the inhabitants, like due to previous Portuguese action. After Mazawa, they intended to go to Butuan on Mindanao Island, but when diverted to Bohol due to unfavorable winds. This indicates that, according to the pilots of the Legazpi expedition, Mazawa was stated near Leyte and Panaon Island, while Butuan was on Mindanao Island, demonstrating that the two locations were distinct and not the same. A visit to Limasawa will convince the traveler that here indeed is the place circumstantially described by Pigafetta. The island is shaped like a tadpole running north to south. The northern portion is almost all hills, with slopes dropping steeply to the sea, leaving only narrow coastal strip. But the southern portion of the island is almost all level and with a few hills. It has a good harbor protected on the west by the Panaon Island and on the east by Limasawa. The fields in the portion of the islands are fertile. It is easy to understand why an expedition should wish to stay a week, anchored of this fertile island, where the natives were friendly and there was enough food, water, and wood. Here the mass could be said solemnity. Here on one of the hills, the cross could be planted which everyone could see from the plain, and from the top of that hill could be seen the island to the south, to the west, and to the east.